Now that we have done our washes, we're going to create a painting using those washes. And the first thing I want to talk about is the horizon line. If you draw your horizon line right down the middle of your paper, that means that you're looking directly at it. You're not above it, you're not below it, you're looking directly at it. If it's low down here, you're looking down on it. Everything is down and you're up on a hill somewhere looking down. But if you put it up high up here in the top third, then you're looking up at it. And this is the kind of painting where we are actually laying down here in the pasture and looking up at the sky. And so I'm going to do this horizon line. I'm going to add a couple of rocks just for the fun of it, kind of give you that perspective. And the other thing I'm going to add are some of our aspen trees, just a few and just little ones, just for a little interest, kind of to build on what we've learned before. If you haven't been watching my videos, you will have missed this, which is perhaps the most fun of all the things you can do. There we go. We've got a few aspen trees up here. And we're going to start this whole painting out with a flat wash. And it's going to be a flat, bright yellow wash. And you'll see why in a minute. So let's get started. And remember the flat wash? You're using nothing but color. So I'm mixing up a nice big soupy yellow pool here. And then I'm going to take it and I'm going to go all the way across, just like we did in the smaller one. Then I'm going to go back to the pool, catch the bead, come across again. Go back to the pool, catch the bead, come across again. We want this all the way down our paper for a reason. Believe me, I don't do anything. It's not for a reason. I should have introduced y'all to my cat in the last video. Her name is Kiwi, and she thinks she's my inspiration, and it might be true. Anyway, so here's our nice flat wash. I've filled in a little bit of the areas. Okay, and while that's drying, we're going to do a sky. And I think we'll go on with our clouds. So I'm going to get this a little bit wet. Not terribly, but just enough to make the... There we go. And once again, I'm going to do my Zorro zigzags. I want it kind of dark over here behind the trees because, well, they're going to be very light, and we want those darkest darks next to our lightest lights, don't we? So now I've got some sky in here, and I'm going to go. Now we're going to do something kind of exciting. This is Misket. It also comes by other names like Mascoid, Masket, Misket, Frisket, many names, but it's a watercolor agent that is used for masking, and you can paint small areas with it. But a watercolorist can be a purist, which means all of the white is the paper, and the paintings we've been doing have been purist paintings. Well, my mother and I developed this method of making snow so that we didn't have to go back in with opaque white paint and paint. And you can use this Misket and splatter it with a paintbrush to make snow. Well, we're not making snow today. Obviously, on this yellow spring day, we're not going to want any snow. But what we do want are some yellow flowers in our background. And so I've splattered some Misket onto the yellow, and we're going to let it dry. And while it's drying, we're going to go up here and work a little bit more on what we started doing. We're going to bring some of our sky color down into our rocks, because it's really good to carry your colors through a painting. It helps your eye move through a painting. The other thing we're going to do is work behind these great trees we've got going. And I'm wanting some nice spring green, which I'm mixing to put back here behind these aspen trees now because it's spring, it's summer, it's not winter anymore. Hallelujah. That's why we're not making snow. So here we go with a little bit of, and as you know, the secret of threes: light, your mediums, and your darks. Everything needs at least 3 colors because that's what's going to make it pop, and especially behind these aspen trees. We want all that spring green, but we also want some darks. And we want some darks in our rocks, where our shadows are. Whenever you do a painting, you need to decide what direction the sun's coming from. And for some reason, when I paint, the sun is always standing right up there on the right. And this painting is no exception. It's up there on the right. So, we've got our aspen trees. We've got a little background back there. Now we're going to let this biscuit dry and start again in a minute. While working on this painting, we've learned about several things: horizon lines and masking agents. We've already used 2 masking agents, the tape and the biscuit. Now we're going to use a third, and that's rubber cement. We're going to use the rubber cement to make some big yellow flowers because we're laying down here in the grass looking at the flowers. So we're going to do some big flowers here. With this rubber cement. Now we're going to let that dry, and while that's drying, we're going to add a little bit more to our painting. And one of the things we're going to add is that fence that we learned how to do in the first painting. For that, you want a nice, wet, dark color. And remember, we're going to stamp. And then we're going to drag our paintbrush through, making the fence wire. We're kind of doing this while we're waiting for the rubber cement to dry. And it's already starting to look like kind of a fun painting. Just for the fun of it, while we're waiting for that rubber cement to dry, let's go ahead and take our tape off up here and look at our aspen trees. The nice thing about a paint like this is you can work in several different areas and while you're waiting for things to dry. So now we've masked with biscuit, we've masked with tape, and we've masked with rubber cement to make our big flowers that are right down here in the front. So now we're going to do our aspen trees just the way we remember. We're going to put a shadow down one side. And we're going to do this shadow in front of the trees that we don't want to show. And we may add some of this shadow color to our rocks as well, so that we're carrying, once again, that color through. Now look, it's already starting to look like trees back there. It's kind of fun. All right. Now I'm thinking that even though the rubber cement is not completely dry, we might go ahead and wash in the green. I mean, we put this yellow on here, but we put it on here for a reason, only so that we would be having that green in the background, I mean that yellow for our flowers, so that when we go back over it with the green, which we're now going to do, those flowers are going to be nice and yellow. We're just kind of washing over this, and we're not trying to do any special kind of wash. We're just trying to cover the yellow with some green. And as you know, clouds cast shadows. And so we're going to have light areas in our greens. We're going to have some darker areas. And then we're going to have some real dark areas. And so, here we go. Remember, lights, mediums, and darks all the way through. A little shadow under our fences. We might add some trees back here just for the fun of it. This is the time where you get to be inventive and put in some things that are going to add interest to this painting. I want some really dark up front here. Okay, now we're going to get some long grass going, just like we learned in that first picture. A little bit of grass behind the rocks. I'm going to do some of the scratched grass too, so to add some interest. All right. Now we're going to let that dry for a minute. Okay, there's nothing left on our painting except just to finish it off. Everything is dry, so now we're going to remove the biscuit and we're going to remove the rubber cement. And you do that by merely rubbing it with your fingers lightly. And as you can see, everywhere where I've done that biscuit, we now have the little yellow flowers back here in the background. And our big flowers up here where we're looking at them. And they're, of course, larger than life. And once you get the biscuit off, then you're ready to just do the finishing touches on this painting. And what we're going to do is make all the little dots on our aspen trees. Which is going to get them to do some cracks on our rocks. May put a tree or two back here. And then for these flowers up here, we're going to add brown centers. And then we'll just accent them a little bit. The fun thing about the rubber cement is that it does not make a solid. You can always see some of the background coming through it. I might add a little bit of this brown to our rocks too, just to add a little bit of interest and make them a little different. Okay, then, I don't know, there's not much else we can do, but I might like to add a few little red flowers back here in the field too, just for interest. And from then on, it's up to you. You can put cows in the field or horses. It's your painting. But this is basically the lesson on masking agents. Tape, misket, leaving it out, using rubber cement. And this is it. Thank you so much for watching. Please, doing these paintings are my legacy, and I'd love for you to like it and join it and share it. Thank you for being part of my audience. Bye-bye.